McCartney. Actually, I think I wanted to be Paul McCartney at the Beatles at the time.
No.
And it's true. And I just thought I'd bring this. This is the vinyl of that. Hey Jude is on this record, and these are the Beatles, circa like 1968 or so, I think. And this is McCartney here, John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. And you can.
So the question is, which of the other three was Lilia going for?
Yeah, really.
So as my life has evolved, I've actually wanted to be the whole Beatles, actually. So I'm probably not the only one. I know that there's still tons and tons of Beatlemaniacs everywhere.
You wanted to be Ringo as well?
Hmm?
You wanted to be Ringo as well?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, remember this?
The Ringo bounce. There's nothing like this kind of thing.
Remember that?
Yeah. But one thing about that song was like I was about maybe 9 years old when that song came out, 8 or 9 years old, and one thing I really loved about their version of it was the screaming at the end, and it just really let it rip. And I think it was partly because of a very strict upbringing. We weren't really supposed to do those kinds of things. So it was a beautiful melody, but it was also very primal, and it was maybe a beginning of the release of something in the spirit.
And what is this square thing, and what's the round thing that's inside?
Well, that's a whole other.
How does it fit
Frisbee.
into the
Well, so anyway, I didn't play guitar at that point, but I loved singing. I always sang, and I sang in the church, and I sang in school. Also, I was picked up for solos and stuff with the choir here and there. And but when I got to like grade 7 and 8, I was really lucky because we had the music teacher there played guitar. Actually, he had a 12-string. I think it was a Fender. And one of those years, can't remember if it was grade 7 or 8, but we had a special week at the end of the year. It was May or something, and everybody did a special thing for a whole week. The regular classes were stopped, right? So this music teacher, he was a classroom music teacher. He offered guitar class for those of us who wanted. So I got a week of I think it was a whole week of learning chords from this guy. And the first guitar actually that I was exposed to was my grandmother. My German grandmother lived with us, and she had a little sort of department store guitar. And so we were all quite intrigued with it. We didn't know what to do with it, but we wanted to do something with it. And it was around a little acoustic guitar, very cheap but nice. And so then anyway, this guy, my first guitar that I bought was because of my older brother. So I always followed my older brother. I was second oldest. He played violin, then I played violin. He played trumpet, then I played trumpet. And he played guitar. He wanted to play guitar, and I wanted to play guitar. So we both had paper routes, but he didn't have any money. He spent all his money, and I'd saved some. So he had a friend who was selling a guitar, and he coerced me to buy it. It was an electric guitar with a little amp, and the guitar and the amp together were $25 at the time. So we both started learning. But this music teacher showed me a few things, and at the time, it was around the time that this guy came out.
So I'm going to just go make sure you have a little bit less accompaniment.
Sure.
Come
on here. Yeah. Anyway, artist named Don McLean.
Oh, yeah.
He had a huge hit at the time called American Pie, which I'm not going to play, but this music teacher showed us how to play some of that. And it's a very long and complicated song, with a great story, sort of kind of surreal story in it. But I'm going to play one of his songs.
Do you know the Vincent van Gogh one?
Well, that's actually the one I'm going to play.
Yeah.
So, and this one was very interesting. First of all, I mean, at that age, I'd probably never heard of Vincent van Gogh. I had no idea, but it was a pretty song. And, the art teacher at the school, he was a fan, so he turned us on to the idea, or some of his history, and that he was a struggling artist. So these themes have always come up in my sort of musical development, and seemed to be quite enchanted by those ideas of the struggling artist. And you know, I'm sure a lot of us have wanted to do certain things but not allowed ourselves, or you know, struggled with various things. So Van Gogh was like he's the archetypal struggling artist who, you know, ended up taking his own life and did, you know, beautiful things. So this song is called Vincent, but it was about the painting which we call Starry Night in English. Now, I wasn't sure if it was Nuit des Étoiles or Nuit d'Étoiles. Does anybody know for sure the title? No. Anyway. Nuit d'Étoiles? Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Nuit d'Étoiles. Usually there's a day, you know, I don't. Anyway, so Starry Night, as we call it in English. And so this song is amazing. It's a story about a guy, and it sort of mixes in descriptions of the painting and the guy's struggle. Very powerful song to a young and impressionable, you know, 12-year-old or 13-year-old. Starry, starry night, paint your palettes blue and gray. Look out on a summer day with eyes that know the darkness of my soul. Shadows on the hills, sketch the trees and the daffodils, catch the breeze and the winter chill in colors on that snowy linen land. Now I understand what you tried to say to me, how you suffered for your sanity, how you tried to set them free. They would not listen, they did not know how. Perhaps they'll listen now. Starry, starry night, flaming flowers that brightly blaze.